Okay, so I think before we actually dive into this, how about we quickly go through what are the common flaws that are related to premise, data, deductive arguments, inductive arguments, and abductive arguments, right? So I think it would be best if we kind of like go through those quickly, okay? So when it comes to, you can say the premise or the data, which basically the argument or the author provides for his arguments. So let's say we have premise, right? So the number one thing that you should be looking for is, subjective opinions, like which are basically open to many interpretations dependent on human to human, from human to human. So let's say if I am using that I had, an amazing, let's say the increase of my salary was amazing. So it may be an increase of, let's say, I don't know, $200. But this might be for an average person, this might be super awesome. He might be screaming, whereas for a rich dude like Elon Musk, he might just give it away to charity, right? So the fact that this increase was quite, relative, it was subjected, it was open to different interpretations dependent from person to person. The next thing is that you need to look for is some uncertainty, like uncertain statements like might be, will be, maybe, or something about in future this might happen, this will happen, this something to this effect, some uncertain language used in the premise, in the structure of the arguments. Then there is the credibility of the evidence. Like for example, there's a poll about certain complaints, and let's say 75% of the people who appeared in the poll complained about a certain product. Now the question arises is how accurate were those reports, or were those complaints? Maybe it was biased. Maybe the people who actually conducted the overall poll of these complaints were biased, and probably they were and not keeping it general, and only limited amount of people actually participated in the poll, that kind of thing. So credibility of the premise or the credibility of the data. When it comes to deductive arguments, well, number one is that, hey, unstated premise, and unstated premise is basically used in philosophical language. However, when you are basically using the typical GRE language, GRE calls it assumptions, The fact, like a common example that I can give is, hey, if I see a handsome man and I'm like, he is handsome, therefore his wife will be a beauty. Well, this has a unstated premise. The unstated premise is that every handsome dude gets a beautiful spouse or a wife. And if I can say, let's say my friend said, hey, he's a handsome man, he is going to have a beautiful wife, I can debunk this argument by simply understanding this unstated premise and saying, hey, man, do you think that every other handsome man gets a beautiful wife? No. So that kind of thing. So the first, another deductive argument is that, a flaw in the deductive argument is that, hey, you're probably, adding two dissimilar things, or probably comparing two different subjects. For example, let's say something was pretty successful in town A, that doesn't guarantee it's going to be successful in town B. So, this is literally a crappy argument. Then you have to consider that with change in time, things change. And let's say if something was successful 10 years back, that doesn't guarantee it's going to be successful hereafter. Then again, with the change in location, let's say opening a library at some town may be a good thing, but let's say opening a library in some rural area, a countryside area where people don't tend to be, academics, or there are no students or no schools, then opening a library is not going to be a good thing. So with location, things change, so as the, different aspects. Quality of one thing is not equal to the quality of the second thing. Let's say two brothers, both can speak very good, and maybe there was an opening for a news reporter. One got selected, and I came up with an argument, since they're brothers and both have good speaking skills, the second one is going to be selected as well. No, maybe because when it comes to news reporters, there's a different type of speaking talent, but when it comes to, maybe some debating or anchoring skills. Maybe you need some type of other skills. Like for example, in debating, you not only need to have good vocabulary and good command in your language, but you also need to have good critical thinking skills because you need to analyze arguments, that kind of thing. Then we are pretty much done with the deductive argument. Okay, so if I move to the inductive, okay. So when I'm talking about inductive argument, the biggest flaw is that the sample size is not equal to the overall population. A quick example that I can give you is, well, let's say I went to a country X and probably spent there, I don't know, 2 days. I was like, I met two people, they were really harsh, therefore all the people of country X are harsh. And no, you cannot simply use a small sample to generalize the overall population. Maybe it was you were just having a bad day, and you were just getting these harsh criticism, maybe because of other reason. However, there may be a possibility that other people are quite hospitable and taking care of foreigners, that kind of thing. And when it comes to abductive, well, also known as hypothesization, the biggest problem over here is you're just considering one cause for a certain effect, and you're kind of like ignoring the alternatives, and you're probably considering that your general perspective or knowledge is complete. How the common example that I can give is, okay, you come into your room, you saw a bookshelf on the floor and the books are all scattered on the floor. You came into your room and you're like, what the heck? What just happened there? And now you start coming up with different possible causes. Okay, so first one is, hey, maybe a burglar came in. And you kind of like searched the room and you saw that your money and wallet was perfectly there and nobody touched it. Then you're like, it can't be a burglar. Maybe it was an earthquake. You turn on the TV, you're like, no earthquake, and then I'm like, then what? Maybe it was a wind. You saw the wind blowing from the window, and you kind of like predicted or probably made an hypothesis, speculation that, hey, it must have been probably the wind. However, later on, you came to realize that your Aunt Sally with her naughty, messy kids came in and they were responsible. So in this argument, you kind of like ignore the alternative of your Aunt Sally coming into your room. No, not sorry, your Aunt Sally, your cousins of Aunt Sally, and reckoning everything. And you also kind of like assume that, hey, your general perspective about your understanding was accurate, that kind of thing. So now that we are basically done with all our basic, philosophical discussion and the philosophical fallacies that are common in arguments, now I think we are in a pretty good position to jump to the essay. Sorry, what do you call it? This prompt, and start dismantling it one by highlighting different errors. So it says, okay. The following appeared in an email sent by making director of the classical Shakespeare theater of Bard Willie. Okay. It says over the past 10 years, there has been 20% decline in the size of the average audience at classical Shakespeare theater productions. Okay, there is a lot of garbage which is going on here. First of all, really? Over the past 10 years. And if you kind of like come down over here, over the past 10 years, if something has been happening for the past 10 years, does it guarantee that it will still continue now? Really? What? Then it further says, there has been a 20% decline in the size of the average audience at classical Shakespeare. Okay, you need to understand something about ratios and percentages. Okay, a 20%, whenever someone says, hey, there's been a 20% increase or decrease, the first thing that you need to understand here is, okay, what is the reference here? Based on what reference? Okay, if the total is 100, if the ground reference is 100, then 20% decrease might be considerable because 80 people are left and 20 are gone. However, what if the 10 is the total? Now 8 people are there and only 2 are gone. Is that a significant decrease? Hell no. So this is something that you need to be considerate of. Then it says, what is that? 20% decline in the size of the average audience at classical Shakespeare theater productions. Okay. So you have, again, the author has not convinced me that there is actually a serious problem going on just from his introductory statements. I mean, already I have, highlighted two drastic essays, not essays, two drastic fallacies that, okay, based on time period. First one was the time period. And the second one was the, this percentage with no reference, okay? That kind of thing. Then it says, where is it? Yeah. In spite of the increasing advertising, okay, so there has been increase in advertising, we are attracting fewer and fewer people to our shows, causing our profits to decrease significantly. Okay. Again, pretty flawed way of thinking, guys. Pretty flawed way of thinking. Okay. So first of all, I think I need to kind of like write this up. So he's saying that, and it's almost like he's coming up with, this chain of, evidences and trying to come up with a serious argument. He's saying, okay, it is the advertisement, even though advertisement is going up, but the people that we are attracting are going down, and therefore the profits are going down. Okay. So first of all, he hasn't given us any information about the advertising, whether it is simply conventional paper-like, maybe it is electronic, and maybe, when your advertising is electronic, especially, I do know some stuff about how to use Facebook to advertise your stuff. I mean, you can literally, select people through filters and kind of like do this targeted, advertising. And in conventional, however, you're just throwing these papers at every other doorstep, and maybe 80% of the people might not even bother, reading your article or whatever you have basically, sent for advertising. Secondly, I can say maybe, the quality of your, whatever you're trying to offer is so poor. This is the reason why, people are going down, and it's not because of advertising, or maybe the quality of the advertising is so poor, they're not convinced, and, you have come up with crappy arguments, and probably the sales that you have posted on those piece of, papers are, not worth considering people's time, that kind of thing. Or maybe I could even say that what if the taste of the people has totally shifted, man, and they're just simply not into this share stuff, and they probably prefer something else. And in 10 years' time, well, a lot can change, right? People, maybe the new generations is not simply into, this Shakespeare stuff, right? So again, a really crappy argument, in my opinion, okay? Then it further says, if I go up, what it says? We must take action to attract new audience members. Okay. The best way to do so is by instituting a Shakespeare in the Park program this summer. Okay. Oh my God. I mean, really? So he's saying that, okay, there's this some type of park program, okay, and there's this park program, and if we do this in this summer, then we're going to get a lot of people. I mean, again, change in time, a specific time, and change in location. What if in summer people don't even go to the park and it is too hot? What if people in summer don't tend to, go to these parks and probably just spend at home? What if going to park and programs is simply going to backfire, and you're probably you're not going to receive any audience who might be interested in your in whatever you're there to offer? How about maybe going somewhere in front of a library when people are more interested or more inclined towards literature? How about maybe you are able to find serious listeners or readers over there? Why park? Why this park program, man? Like, again, they are literally ignoring a lot of alternatives, and their argument has this location and time fallacy. Okay? It further goes back up. Okay, how does he... Okay, then it says 2 years ago. Okay, again, the 2-year crap. So again, he is literally ignoring the fact that what happened 2 years ago, the same thing cannot happen Again, man, I mean, with time things change, but let's see what he has to say. 2 years ago, the nearby Avon Repertory Company started a free plays in the park program, and its profit have increased 10% since then. Oh my god, I mean, again, it's a boatload of crappy arguments. Okay, over here, not only the time is issue, not only the location is issue, we have another issue, which is subject 1 is not equal to subject 2. So these guys are basically trying to compare this Shakespeare stuff with this, what was its name? I don't know, I forgot the name. Let me see. What was it? Avon Repertory, whatever, AV. I mean, you cannot simply compare two things. If something was successful for AV, that doesn't guarantee that the same thing is going to be successful as. And again, what was it? 10% increase? Again, the 10% increase might be significant when you're talking, let's say you have 1,000 at a reference value. However, it is almost nothing if your ground reference is 10. Crappy argument. Then what did he say? If we start a Shakespeare in the Park program, we can predict that our profits will increase. I mean, bullshit, man. Seriously, bullshit. Crappy arguments. Okay. So now that we are done with our analysis, let's jump into what Ariane has stated, and now we will be in a better position to kind of like compare what he has done. So it says, okay, let me read the instructions. Write a response in which you discuss what questions. Okay, questions. So, guys, you need to be a bit specific in your approach. When the author or basically the question prompt is telling you that what assumptions that need to be highlighted, then you should highlight assumptions. But when the question prompt is telling you, hey, what questions need to be raised in order to make sense of the prompt, then you have to raise questions. And this is really important, okay? Write a response in which you discuss what questions would need to be answered in order to decide whether a recommendation is likely to have the predicted result. So you need to ask questions with a critical tone, obviously. Be sure to explain how to answer to these questions will help to evaluate the recommendations. So not only you need to answer that, but then you have to come up with a solid answer and explanation on how this paradox or this lame argument can become sound, that kind of thing. So he has stated assumptions. The first one is, it assumed that 20% was a significant number. Maybe it was too less to even consider. Yeah, I think he's talking about this 20% over here. The second one is, the author assumed that the advertising would lure people in and boost sales and increasing profits. Yeah, it's all about, what if, this summer program at this park is going to, get a lot of people. What if it's a total backfire? What if people don't even bother going out in parks in summer, that kind of thing? The third one, author predicts that the summer people would like to see the Shakespeares in the park program again. Yeah, what if people don't even care what's going on in the park? Yeah, man. Okay, it starts with, in the argument, the author concludes that the Shakespeares in the park program would boost the sales and increase the profits of the classical Shakespeare theater of Hardbilly, okay? This prediction is based on Avon Repertory marketing technique, where they introduced a free plays in the park program and were able to increase their profits by increasing 10%. The author condition might be valid, but before the persuasiveness of it can be properly assessed, you must answer the following 3 questions. The author condition might be valid, but before the persuasiveness of it can be properly assessed. Before its persuasiveness can be properly assessed. Before the persuasiveness of it can be properly assessed. I don't know, something's weird in the structure. Anyway, he must answer the following 3 questions. Okay, so probably in his 3-body paragraph, he's gonna raise questions and probably, explain how those questions need to be answered more, in a critical sense to make his argument more sound. Okay, it starts. Firstly, the author assumed that a 20% decrease in the average audience size at classical Shakespeare theater production was a significant number. Okay. Is this the right tone of question? Maybe it was a small... Okay. No. This is not a question tone. Ariane. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, man.
That you can write it in the assumption form as well. though it won't matter. So you just need to state the assumptions.
I mean, you could listen to that, but if you want to be more specific and write directions and get a good score, my opinion would be you follow what the ETS is telling you. Okay? And this is how I would have done this. I mean, you're a free man. You can do whatever you like. This is how I would have stated it. Firstly, the author has stated that a 20% decrease in the average audience is really a bad thing, and it's is a severe problem in getting more people even after advertisement. The question, which is basically asking for our attention, or the question that the author needs to answer over here is, what is making the author assume that a 20% increase is a valid or a significant increase, given the fact that there is no reference point? What if the reference point is just 10, and then a 20% decrease, it would be only 2 people basically considering your advertisement seriously? Then this 20% decrease argument literally is dismantled. So in my approach, I said the same thing that you did, literally said the same thing. However, my approach was like the author is saying this. Now the question that needs our attention over here is, what is making the author assume that a 20% decrease without a solid reference point can be considered as significant? Are you getting what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to our So overall, the wording is accurate, the argument is accurate. If only it would have been more aligned with the you can say the prompt, the given instruction, it would have been awesome. It says, for example, if they had a 10 people attend their plays, again, he's saying the same thing. Good. 20% decrease would only mean that 2 people had not attended the play. Making a change based on a decrease of 2 people is not something to be considered and worth the while to make major changes. Has he come up with explanation how to explain the answers? I think he has. Yeah. Okay. So this is a pretty good one. A pretty good body paragraph. Second, it says, secondly, the author assumes that the increase in advertisement is directly related to the boost in the profits. Okay, so probably he is going over here. Let me use my black marker. Oops. Stop moving. Okay. So the author assumed that the increase in advertisement is directly related to the boost in the profit. Maybe the advertisement Maybe the advertisement running was not persuasive enough to lure the people in to come to see the play. Again, you could have stated that. Now the question that needs our attention over here is, what specific evidence is making the audience say that boosting the advertisement is going to guarantee increase in the profits and increase in the people. This question needs our attention, needs to be answered. Something to this effect. Overall, the way the thing is written is awesome. It could be that they are running a dull, colorless advertisement and hence not able to compete with other advertisements running and get the required attention from the people. In addition, there is a high possibility that the advertisement were not reaching the people. Okay, so he has stated over here, when you're using electronic advertisement like Facebook stuff, you can kind of like choose your audience and do a targeted advertisement. Whereas if you just dropping papers at people's doors, maybe you're not able to get the accurate result that you're looking for, that kind of thing. Okay, cool, I like it. In addition, there's a high possibility that the advertisements are not reaching the right people. People might prefer to watch the televisions and follow social media to know about the latest events and plays happening nearby, and the advertisement running by the classical Shakespeare theater of Bardwilly, the newspaper, radio, magazine, etc. are not reaching the potential customers. Okay, cool, I like it. If either scenarios prove to be true, then there is this extra T in there. I think it needs to be removed. Then the author contention is severely damaged. Yeah, I agree. And again, very solid and good paragraph. Third one. Lastly, the author assumes that people would like to see the Shakespeare in the Park program. Okay. Again, if this would have been stated in the question format, this is how I would have stated. Lastly, the author has stated that simply introducing this program, the summer program in a certain park, is going to allure more people. The question that needs our attention over here is what is the what is making the author assume that simply starting a program which might have worked for XYZ company is going to work for you as well. And then I would have started the same thing like from perhaps. Perhaps the audience is not fond of Shakespeare and find it difficult to understand and comprehend his plays due to the old and convoluted language used. Okay, good, I like it. Moreover, there is a high possibility that since the play is free, people might think it is not worth the time and not up to the mark. Okay, good. People tend to believe. Now he's trying to come up with different alternatives that we do in the abductive reasoning. Pretty impressive, by the way. People tend to believe that quality products and events come at a certain price, and something being offered for free would mean that it is not good and hence would not get the required audience. Okay, cool, I like this. Probably this is the reason why I don't have a lot of people on my server, even though who are with me for like 3 months. They appreciate it, but not able to get a lot of people. I think this is the reason, or just free stuff doesn't, people don't take it seriously. Anyway, if either scenarios proves true, author's argument does not hold any water. Good, I like it. The reason is sound, the logic is sound. He's considered different alternatives. This essay has probably done a way better job than the previous one. Okay, in conclusion, the author may be correct by predicting that the Shakespeare's in the Park program would boost the sales and increase the profits of the classical Shakespeare theater of Bard Willie. However, as it stands now, the prediction rests on 3 unwarranted questions that hinder its validity. If the author would like to increase the persuasiveness of his conclusion, he needs to answer the following. Oh, no, not the following. Oh, gosh. Following basically means that something is up ahead. You should have stated he needs to answer the above raised or aforementioned 3 questions. This is completely wrong. Okay. So this is a pretty good one, guys. I like it. His arguments are neat. The bodies are good. This is way better than his previous essay, honestly. And this might, in my opinion, get a 4 or 4 plus easily. It might even hit a 5, but I'm not exactly sure it will get a 6 or something. Why? Because, again, there was some, if he would have used this question thing, this would have been a tremendous essay. So guys, do you have any questions so far related to this essay and how arguments are deconstructed, blah, blah, blah?
ABD.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I get a 4 this and a 3 on the previous one, that gets me a score of 7.5. 7.5 divided by 2 would be 3.75. How do they round it off to 4 or do they round down?
I'm not an EDS grader, so I cannot say anything. Sorry, man. Okay, so I just can give you a rough estimate of what you did. You did a pretty good job on the second one, but I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the first one.
Thank you so much for the
Okay, thanks, man. So, no questions? No questions? Okay. Yeah, because you have to say something?
No, you have explained each and everything very well, ABD.
Okay then.